Ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin this video by stating very clearly that I'm not coming on today to announce any changes to our masking protocols. Our position as a district remains that we recommend unvaccinated people wear masks while they're inside of our facility, but we are not requiring that. We do, however, require masking on transportation because that's a CDC mandate and it just is what it is. But again, within our buildings, it is recommended, not required. My purpose for coming on today is I wanted to discuss with everybody there had been some fairly significant changes to the quarantining protocols that we follow. And I wanted to come out and announce those things today. These actually came out about a week ago, but I had a health department call this morning. I wanted to make completely sure that I understood all of the detail to this so I can accurately state that to you all. I didn't want to create any confusion, so now I feel comfortable enough to speak on the topic. I want to state here at the very beginning also, I am not any longer going to try to convince anybody to change their mind on their stance with masking or with vaccinations. I believe at this point people are very, very entrenched in their opinion on those subjects, and I just don't know that it's my place to try to convince you differently. Now, obviously, we're here. If you've got any questions, certainly call us, reach out to your health officials, reach out to your own personal doctor, but our staff will discuss any questions that you have. But I'm not trying to change anybody's mind and convince you that masks work or don't work or vaccines are good or not good. I'm not going to take that stance. What I do want to discuss very clearly is how those two things relate to quarantines. I don't know that this always comes off in the public, when you're seeing all the discussion about cases and numbers and percents of positivity and all that. As far as the school operation goes, what honestly matters the most for the operational standpoint of things, just trying to keep your kids in school on an everyday basis, it's not the cases, it's the quarantines, okay? So one student can be a case and then create multiple close contacts with other students, and then those students have to go home. That's the biggest challenge we face. It's not limiting the number of cases, it's trying to do everything we can to limit quarantines, all right? So, on to the quarantines. There are two fairly significant changes to the protocols. The first of which is we no longer do any contact tracing on things that occur outside of our buildings. So the recess, anything, athletic, outdoors, we no longer have to contact trace those situations. So that's tremendous news. Our kids can go about their play activities the way they always have. That's great news. But maybe the more significant piece now, as far as a student being able to stay in school if they become a close contact. The big change to this is we are now a one mask standard in the state of Ohio. We used to be a two mask standard, which simply meant both the kid who's a case and the kid who's a contact had to be wearing a mask for the contact to stay in school. That is no longer the case. One mask applies to the person who is wearing it. So now each person protects themselves. If you wear a mask and you have the unfortunate circumstance to sit next to somebody who's COVID positive and you become a close contact, you can now stay in school because you've been wearing that mask. We can do that to a large extent throughout our district. We can't be perfect with that situation. The biggest area of concern is our lunchrooms. Remember now, all of our students are back, so we can no longer maintain the 6 feet that is now necessary. Because remember, when both kids take off their masks, the standard is now 6 feet. We can't quite get there. We're doing pretty well with that, but there is still, of course, some risk that your child might become a close contact and have to go home for the quarantining protocol if they're a contact at lunch. But again, throughout the vast majority of what they do here during the school day, they would be able to stay in school, and do their quarantining protocols, that modified quarantine, but stay in the school building. Of course, vaccination also keeps them in school. I'm not going to go off on the soapbox about getting vaccinated. I'm just going to say that if they are vaccinated, they avoid the quarantining protocol. So folks, whatever your personal beliefs are with masking or with vaccinations, the simple fact is if your child becomes a close contact, if they're vaccinated or if they're masked, they get to stay with us. If they are unmasked and unvaccinated, we have to send them home to quarantine. Final thing, and we'll make sure that the directions are real clear around this. We'll get this put out on our website. We're going to create basically a spreadsheet for families to be able to upload their vax cards. This is voluntary. You don't have to do it. But as far as when we do our contact tracing, again, one of the big things that gets a student to be able to stay is where they're vaccinated. Our school personnel would be able to reference that list, see that your child is on it, and then we just send them right back to class. Okay, so we're going to get that out here in the near future. Folks, as always, listen. This is an ever-evolving situation. I continually use the phrase with our staff and students here, fluid and flexible, and that's where we remain with this. Again, clearly, our stance at the moment is recommended, not required. We'll see how this thing evolves in the weeks to come. I thank everybody for your time and attention. We are here to help you. Give us a call. We'll walk you through anything that we can. Thanks, everyone, and go Rangers.